They thought humiliating me would be the end of it. The CEO stood on stage, lips curling with false pride, calling my name like he was announcing a winner. But instead of applause, I got a termination notice. "At will," he said, smiling to the shareholders, "we expect loyalty, but sometimes not everyone makes the cut." The room laughed with him. I didn't. I smiled and walked off that stage without a word, because I already knew what I would do next. #backstory. I wasn't just another compliance officer, I was the compliance officer. I built the certification program that kept the company in good standing with regulators. My work was invisible to most, but it was the scaffolding holding their empire upright. When I joined, the CEO told me I was family. His wife sent me holiday cards. I believed them when they said I mattered. For years, I sacrificed nights, weekends, and parts of myself to keep this company bulletproof. But families don't discard you in front of strangers. Families don't strip you of dignity for sport. #the discovery. The signs had been there. New consultants whispering in corridors. CFO meetings I was accidentally left out of. Then, the sudden pressure to streamline compliance costs. They wanted cheaper, less vigilant oversight. I knew why. Hidden contracts, offshore books, risks buried under pretty slides. I'd seen hints, enough to know they were preparing to cut corners and profit. My diligence was an inconvenience, and inconvenient people get erased. #the shift. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't plead. I did what I always did best. I documented. Every certification tied to my name. Every regulatory clearance dependent on my active status. The system wasn't just paperwork, it was power. And the moment they cut me loose, I had leverage. The law required a status change. Without me, their certifications were no longer valid. Without certifications, they couldn't operate. And every hour of halted operations cost them $100,000. They handed me my exit papers. I handed them a ticking clock. #the plan. I walked out of that stage, drove home, and filed the status change electronically. One click. That's all it took. The stop work order was triggered instantly. By the time I poured myself a glass of wine, plants were shutting down, shipments frozen, clients notified. The silence of my phone was delicious. By morning, I was summoned. Not politely, dragged. #the confrontation. The boardroom was overflowing, executives, lawyers, assistants scribbling notes as fast as they could. The CEO sat at the head, face red, veins swelling like they might burst. "You cost us millions overnight," he barked the second I stepped in. I stayed silent. "You don't understand the damage you've caused." That's when the company lawyer, pale and sweating, grabbed his arm. "Sir, stop," his voice cracked. "She's the only one who can reinstate certification." The room froze. My power, invisible for years, now sat heavy in the air. I let the silence stretch, watching realization sink into their arrogant faces. For once, they were the ones cornered. #the unraveling. The CEO leaned forward, teeth clenched. "What do you want?" I didn't answer right away. I pulled out a folder. Inside were the documents I had prepared weeks earlier. Quietly, methodically. Evidence of financial manipulation, offshore accounts, unreported deals. Everything I'd gathered in the shadows while they plotted my removal. I slid the folder across the table. "I want you gone." He flipped through the pages, color draining from his face. The lawyer read over his shoulder, jaw tightening. "This is criminal exposure," he whispered. I sat back, calm. "Resign today. Step down quietly. Or I go public. Regulators, media, clients, you won't survive the storm." The lawyer didn't argue. He didn't even look at the CEO. He just nodded, defeated. The empire he built on arrogance and deceit collapsed in a single room, under my steady gaze. Hashtag the resolution. By the end of the week, he was gone. A resignation letter circulated with the usual corporate spin, spending more time with family. The irony almost made me laugh. The board reinstated me, not out of respect, but out of survival. They handed me more power than I'd ever had. They thought they were safe again, but I was done saving them. I took the reinstatement, rebuilt the certifications, stabilized the bleeding, and then, when the timing was perfect, I left on my terms, with my evidence intact, my reputation untarnished, and his downfall sealed forever. Hashtag the reflection. He thought he humiliated me by taking my job, but humiliation is temporary. Revenge, when crafted with patience, is permanent. They say compliance is boring, invisible, forgettable, but I know better. Compliance is leverage. Compliance is power. And when they forced me out, they handed me the very weapon that destroyed them. I didn't raise my voice in that boardroom. I didn't need.